Have you ever looked at your life and asked, why did this have to happen to me? Why the heartbreak? The illness? The loss? Why now? Why me? If you've ever whispered those words in pain or screamed them in silence, you're not alone. But what if the very thing that broke you was actually the beginning of your healing? This video isn't just a talk about pain. It's an invitation to see your struggles through a completely different lens. Because buried beneath every moment of chaos is meaning. And behind every unanswered question is a lesson the soul has been waiting to learn. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine once lost everything. Her job, her partner, her health. In a single year, she told me, it felt like life had declared war on me. But 5 years later, she runs a wellness retreat, has found deeper love, and says, it was the year that gave me back myself. If you've ever felt like life was unfair, like you were being punished, or simply couldn't make sense of the chaos, then this video is for you. And if, just if, you've ever felt that your darkest moment held some invisible message, hit like, share this video, and drop a 1 in the comments. Because maybe, just maybe, you're not here by accident. And neither is what you've been through. There's a moment, a quiet, haunting moment, when the pain hits so deeply that the only question left is, why? Why did I lose them? Why did everything fall apart right when I thought it was coming together? Why do I feel so alone, so betrayed by life? For many, this question arises in the silence after the storm, when the world continues moving, but inside, everything feels still and broken. We try to reason our way through it, find logic in chaos. But nothing makes sense. Feels random, cruel even. But here's the truth. Pain is rarely random. It might not arrive on our timeline or fit our expectations, but it carries precision. It strikes where our illusions are strongest, where we've built lives on shaky ground, where we've avoided change or held on too tightly. It breaks what no longer serves and forces us to look at what we've ignored. Take a closer look at your life. How many turning points began with pain? How many awakenings were born from heartbreak? How many truths only revealed themselves after a loss? This is the unseen pattern, the one most people never notice until years later. It's a spiritual architecture of growth that only becomes visible through hindsight. But why wait for hindsight? Imagine if we could begin to see pain differently right now. Imagine if, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We asked, what is this trying to show me? In Zen Buddhism, nothing is wasted. Every leaf that falls, every breeze that shifts, every moment of despair. It all belongs. Even suffering is sacred, not because it feels good, but because it reveals what's true. Think about the last time your heart broke. Was it only destruction? Or was it also the moment you finally stopped pretending? The moment you realized you deserved more? The moment you began to rebuild from truth, not fear? This is not romanticizing pain. This is recognizing its role as the great revealer, the divine reset. And if you're in the middle of it right now, in that place where everything feels unfair and senseless, hold on. Because patterns take time to emerge. Meaning takes patience to unfold. But it will. Your story is still being written. And pain might just be the ink that reveals the page you were always meant to turn. So let me ask you, have you ever gone through something that made no sense at the time, but later became the turning point of your life? If yes, share it in the comments. And if you're still in the middle of that question, why? Know this video may not give you all the answers, but it might give you the right questions to finally find your way. There's a moment when reality knocks at your door, and you refuse to answer, not because you can't hear it, but because it brings news you didn't want to receive. Maybe it's the breakup you didn't expect, the diagnosis you feared, the job loss that shattered your plans, and your first instinct, to fight it, to deny it, to scream, this wasn't supposed to happen. That resistance, that quiet war you wage against what is the root of so much suffering. You see, we're taught from a young age to believe that life should go a certain way. Success looks like this. Love feels like that. Pain should be rare, short, and easily solved. But life doesn't follow our scripts. It follows truth. And truth is often uncomfortable. Buddhist philosophy teaches that suffering arises not from what happens, but from our resistance to what happens. It's not the rain that hurts. It's our refusal to get wet. Think about the last time something didn't go your way. Was the event itself unbearable? Or was it your need for control, your belief that this should not be happening, that caused the real pain? When we resist reality, we split ourselves in two. One part facing what is, the other clinging to what should have been. This tug-of-war exhausts us. It drains our energy, clouds our clarity, and delays our healing. But what if we dropped the rope? What if we could meet reality without needing to rewrite it? That's what Zen teaches. The art of presence. Not passive acceptance. Not giving up. But choosing to see things as they are, not as we wish they were. Take this in. The breakup isn't your enemy. It's a doorway. The failure isn't shameful. It's a pivot. The illness isn't punishment. It's a messenger. Everything unwanted in your life is also trying to bring you back to what's real. To peel away the illusions. To clear the noise. To remind you, you are not in control of the universe. But you are in control of how you meet it. This doesn't mean you stop grieving or feeling or caring. It means you stop resisting the existence of pain and start responding to its invitation. Because when you stop fighting reality, you begin to flow with it. And in that flow, peace begins. So here's your reflection. What in your life right now are you fighting against? What truth are you afraid to accept? Share it if you feel called, or simply acknowledge it within. And if something in this message resonates, take a breath and let go just a little. That's where healing begins. We live in a world obsessed with control. We schedule every hour, set goals for the next 5 years, curate our online identities, as if planning precisely enough will shield us from chaos. But deep down, you've probably noticed something. Life doesn't care about your plans. The people you thought would stay leave. The job you counted on disappears. The body you trusted changes overnight. And when that happens, we panic. Not just because of the loss itself, but because it shatters the illusion we've worked so hard to maintain. The illusion of control. You see, the ego, this mental identity we build around who we are and how life should be, needs certainty to survive. It feeds on predictability. It demands permanence. So when impermanence shows up, as it always does, the ego goes into crisis mode. Fear rises. Denial kicks in. We scramble to fix things, to go back to normal. But here's the hard truth. There is no normal. There is only now. Zen doesn't try to give you control over life. It teaches you how to live without needing it. It invites you to trade the illusion of control for the reality of presence. Let's bring it closer. Have you ever noticed how much time you spend mentally negotiating with life? If I just do this, maybe they'll come back. If I work harder, maybe I won't lose it all again. If I stay positive, maybe nothing bad will happen. That voice isn't wisdom. It's fear dressed up as logic. Control doesn't create safety. It creates tension. You grip harder, but the world slips faster. But what if we stopped trying to control the waves and started learning how to surf? Let go. Not of responsibility, but of rigidity. Let go of needing every outcome to fit your plan. Let go of the exhausting need to manage every variable in an unpredictable universe. When we do that, something powerful happens. We become flexible, adaptive, resilient. We become like water, soft but unstoppable. Science backs this too. Neuroscience shows that our brain's fear center, the amygdala, calms when we feel acceptance, not control. Letting go literally rewires your mind for peace. So next time you feel the panic rise, when things don't go your way, ask yourself, is this about the situation? Or is this about my fear of losing control? Because often, it's not the storm that's drowning you. It's your own resistance to floating. And remember, true strength doesn't come from controlling the tide. It comes from trusting yourself to ride the waves. If this message touched something in you, take a moment now. Breathe. Loosen your grip, just a little, and let life meet you where you are. Karma's gonna get you. You've heard that, right? Like some cosmic revenge, a punishment waiting in the shadows. But that's not karma. That's a misunderstanding. One that keeps people stuck in fear instead of awakening them to truth. In its essence, karma isn't about punishment. It's about pattern. Karma, in Buddhist philosophy, is the simple law of cause and effect. Not spiritual judgment, not divine retribution, just energy returning to its source. Think of it like planting seeds. You plant kindness, you grow trust. You plant resentment, you harvest disconnection. Not because someone up there is watching, but because the universe reflects your inner state. Your reality mirrors your mind. Let's bring this home. Why do some people always seem to attract toxic partners? Why do others constantly face financial instability, no matter how hard they work? It's not fate. It's not bad luck. It's the subconscious patterns repeating themselves, unexamined and unhealed. A woman who grew up feeling unseen might keep choosing partners who overlook her. A man who believes money equals greed might subconsciously repel abundance. These are karmic loops, not curses but clues. Each cycle saying, look deeper. There's something here you haven't healed. Now here's the kicker. Karma is not just about what you do. It's about what you believe, what you speak, what you think, especially when no one's watching. Your beliefs shape your perception, and your perception shapes your experience. Modern science calls this confirmation bias, the brain's tendency to seek out evidence for what it already believes. If you believe people can't be trusted, you'll only notice betrayal. If you believe life is unfair, your brain will spotlight every injustice. And so, karma isn't waiting to punish you. It's waiting for you to wake up, to notice the loops, to interrupt the patterns, to plant different seeds. Zen doesn't say, you deserve this. It asks, what are you unconsciously creating? And more importantly, are you ready to choose differently? Because the moment you do, the karma shifts. Not because your past disappears, but because you stop feeding it. So here's your invitation. Look at your life like a mirror, not with shame, but with curiosity. What themes keep repeating? What emotions seem familiar? No matter the situation. What seeds are you planting through thought, word, and action? This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming your creative power. And if you're ready to step out of the cycle and into conscious living, drop a fire in the comments. Because awareness is the first step. And every step you take with intention rewrites your karma. Maybe you've noticed the pattern. You keep ending up in the same kind of relationship, the same kind of job drama, the same emotional spiral. Different faces, different cities. But somehow the same lesson keeps showing up, just louder. That's karma's way of whispering, then knocking, then kicking down the door. The question is, will you open it? Breaking the karmic loop doesn't require mystical rituals or perfect behavior. It requires one thing, awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you're no longer its prisoner. You become its student. Let's start here. Patterns live in the unconscious. They're habits of mind and heart you didn't choose but kept repeating. You learned them from childhood, from trauma, from the culture that told you who to be. And because they're unconscious, you don't even realize you're recreating the very reality you're trying to escape. But when you shine light on them, everything begins to shift. Imagine you notice a belief like, I always have to prove my worth. You realize this belief drives your exhaustion, your people-pleasing, your fear of failure. Now you have a choice. You can pause, breathe, and ask, what would I do right now if I believed I was already enough? This question breaks the loop, because karma isn't just about what happens to you. It's about what you choose next. Each choice is a fork in the road. React with the same fear, or respond with new awareness. Fall into the old identity, or step into the one you're becoming. And no, it's not always easy. The loop is familiar, comfortable even, but comfort isn't the same as peace. Real peace comes from alignment, from choosing truth over habit, from choosing growth over repetition. Zen invites you to meet every moment as new, to stop dragging the past into the present, to stop letting your old self make today's choices. It reminds you, you are not your patterns. You are the presence noticing the pattern. That means you can choose again, and again, and again. So here's a reflection for you. What's one loop you're ready to break? What's one reaction you can shift? Today, comment it if you feel called. Not for the algorithm, but for your own awakening. Because every moment is a turning point, and every conscious choice is a revolution. It shouldn't have happened. They should have stayed. I should be further along by now. How many times have those words played on repeat in your mind? These shoulds sound innocent, but they're heavy. They carry disappointment, regret, and silent self-judgment. And they trap us not in the past itself, but in the belief that reality got it wrong. Here's the truth. Suffering doesn't come from what happened. It comes from the story you tell yourself about what should have happened. The breakup hurt, but what really broke you was, it wasn't supposed to end. The rejection stung, but the deeper pain was, they should have seen my value. You feel stuck, but beneath it all is the whisper, I should be more successful by now. Zen calls this the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain life gives you. The second is the one you shoot into your own heart with your expectations. You can't always dodge the first, but the second, that one's yours to release. Let's be clear. Expectations aren't evil. We all dream, hope, plan. But when your attachment to should becomes stronger than your acceptance of is, you suffer. You stop seeing what's here because you're fixated on what's missing. And here's where it gets powerful. When you let go of how it should have been, you can finally receive what is. You can see the lessons hidden in heartbreak, the redirection inside the rejection, the quiet invitation behind the delay. But how do you let go? It starts with honesty. Admit the story you've been clinging to. Then ask, what if the should isn't true? What if this moment is exactly what I need, even if I don't understand it yet? This isn't about spiritual bypassing. It's about humility. It's about recognizing that life might be wiser than your plan. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. You stop insisting that peace can only come after certain outcomes. And when you do that, a door opens. You become present, receptive. You begin to align with what's real, not what's imagined. So ask yourself gently, what should are you ready to release? What belief about how life had to be is keeping you from how life could be? Share it below if it feels safe. Not to impress, but to free yourself. Because sometimes the most radical act of healing is letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be. Acceptance is a word that sounds soft, passive, maybe even weak. But in truth, acceptance is one of the most powerful acts of courage a soul can make. Because acceptance doesn't mean liking what happened. It doesn't mean giving up or agreeing with injustice. It means choosing to stop fighting what already is, so you can finally begin to heal. Let's be honest. We spend so much time arguing with reality. This shouldn't have happened. That's not fair. I can't believe this is my life. And while those thoughts may feel justified, they keep us stuck in a loop of suffering. Because what you resist persists. The more you reject the truth of a moment, the more it controls you. But the moment you say, okay, this happened, something shifts. You reclaim your energy. You stop leaking power into fantasies of a different past. And you begin to return to now. Zen teaches us that acceptance is not resignation, it's clarity. It's removing the fog of denial and seeing life as it truly is. That's where healing starts, not in fantasy, but in truth. Think of someone recovering from trauma. Those who suppress, deny, or avoid the pain often stay trapped in it for years. But those who gently, gradually say, yes, this happened, they open the door to healing. Psychologists call this radical acceptance, a foundational tool in trauma recovery and emotional resilience. Studies show that people who accept their reality, even the painful parts, recover faster, experience less anxiety, and live with more peace. Because when you stop fighting the past, you make space for the present. Let me ask you, what are you still fighting? What part of your story have you refused to accept? Maybe it's a relationship that ended, a betrayal you didn't see coming, a version of your life that never happened. It's okay. You don't have to force forgiveness or fake peace. You just have to start with truth. Say it softly. This happened. I don't like it, but I accept it. Then breathe. That breath is your first step back to yourself. Acceptance is the soil where resilience grows. It's the foundation for wisdom, for strength, for peace that isn't dependent on outcomes. So if you're ready, if you're tired of fighting a battle you can't win, just whisper to life, I'm willing to see what's true. And if that feels like a step forward, drop a yellow heart in the comments. Let's create a space where truth is safe and healing becomes inevitable. No one asks for adversity. No one wakes up hoping for loss, heartbreak, or challenge. But if you ask the wisest people you know, those who radiate compassion, resilience, depth, they'll tell you, it was adversity that shaped them, not comfort, the illness that forced them to slow down, the heartbreak that cracked them open, the failure that made them question everything and rebuild on truth. Adversity doesn't just test who you are. It reveals who you were always meant to become. Let's pause here. Think about the hardest thing you've ever survived. Maybe you're still walking through it. But even in the pain, hasn't something shifted? Maybe you see people more clearly. Maybe your priorities changed. Maybe your empathy deepened. This isn't about glamorizing suffering. It's about honoring its potential. Zen teaches that the obstacle is not separate from the path. It is the path. The mountain doesn't block the way. It is the way. But most of us spend our lives avoiding the mountain. We numb, distract, delay. We pray for comfort, forgetting that comfort rarely creates transformation. Growth lives in friction. Strength is forged in fire. Just ask the trees. Their roots grow deeper in storms. Their trunks grow stronger through resistance. Science agrees. Studies on post-traumatic growth show that adversity, when processed with awareness, can lead to greater meaning, purpose, and psychological resilience. But the key isn't the suffering itself. It's what you do with it. You can collapse under it, or you can rise through it. You can let it harden you, or let it soften you toward compassion. You can ask, why me? Or you can ask, what now? Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who lost everything in a divorce. Her home, her sense of identity, her confidence. She thought it was the end. But in the rubble, she found a deeper version of herself. She started painting again. She reconnected with her community. She said, I had to lose that life to find this one. Her adversity became her awakening. So ask yourself, what has pain taught you that comfort never could? What strength was born in your breaking? Comment below if you feel called, not to relive the pain but to honor the growth. Because maybe, just maybe, your wound wasn't the end of the story. It was the opening line of a new chapter. Most people don't live their lives. They live their thoughts about life. Replay the past. Worry about the future. Mentally rewrite what went wrong, or obsess over what might. But in all that noise, they miss what's actually happening right now. This is where mindfulness enters. Not as a trend, not as a wellness buzzword, but as the gateway to truth. Zen teaches that to be mindful is to be fully here, without judgment, without the filters of good or bad, without needing this moment to be different than it is. It sounds simple, but in a world addicted to distraction, it's revolutionary. Because here's the reality. You can't heal the past. You can't control the future. But you can meet this moment, and in doing so, shift everything. Think of mindfulness as a mirror. It reflects what is without distortion, without ego, without the old narratives. And in that reflection, clarity emerges. You begin to notice the breath you ignored, the tension in your shoulders, the sadness beneath your smile, the joy in something as simple as sunlight on your face. This awareness doesn't solve all your problems, but it changes how you meet them. Instead of reacting from fear, you respond from presence. Instead of spiraling in thought, you return to now. Instead of chasing meaning, you realize it was always here, just hidden beneath distraction. Neuroscience backs this too. Regular mindfulness practice has been shown to shrink the brain's stress center and strengthen areas related to empathy, emotional regulation, and insight. It literally rewires you for peace. But you don't need hours of meditation. You just need to notice. Notice your breath, your food, your conversation, your emotions, not to fix them, but to feel them. Because every moment you're truly present is a moment you're truly free. So let's bring this to life. The next time you're washing dishes, just wash. Feel the water. Hear the clinking. Be there. The next time you're walking, feel your feet meet the earth. Let your thoughts float by like clouds. And when pain arises, as it will, greet it gently. Say, I see you. Then breathe. Mindfulness is not about escaping life. It's about entering it fully. So ask yourself, where have I been absent? What part of my life is calling for my full attention? Comment here, now, if you're ready to return to this moment. Because that's where peace lives. Not in the next goal. Not in fixing the past. But in this breath, this step, this heartbeat. There comes a point on every inner journey when you face a terrifying truth. You're not powerless. You never were. Yes, things happen to you. Unfair things. Painful things. Moments you didn't choose and wouldn't wish on anyone. But here's the question that transforms everything. What will you do with what happened? Because the moment you choose to extract meaning, to grow instead of collapse, to become wiser instead of bitter, you stop being a victim. You become the alchemist. In ancient traditions, alchemy was the art of turning lead into gold. But spiritually, alchemy is turning pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom, chaos into clarity, and the power to do that. It lives in you. Right now, you might not feel strong. You might still be healing, grieving, doubting. That's okay. But strength isn't loud. It's not always visible. Sometimes it's as quiet as deciding to keep going, as gentle as choosing not to repeat the same story again. Zen doesn't tell you to ignore your suffering. It teaches you to sit with it until it speaks, to listen to your pain, not as an enemy, but as a guide. Because everything in your life, every heartbreak, every failure, every loss, has prepared you to become someone you could never have become without it. This is not spiritual fluff. It's grounded truth. Psychology calls it post-traumatic growth. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Your soul calls it awakening. So now you stand at a crossroads. You can keep waiting for life to change, or you can become the change. You can keep blaming, or you can start becoming. Because you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to do with what happened. And every moment you choose awareness over autopilot, compassion over judgment, presence over numbness, you rewrite the story. So I'll leave you with this. What if everything that broke you was also building you? What if every wrong turn was the exact road you needed? And what if your deepest wound is also your greatest gift to the world? You are not broken. You are becoming. Not a victim of life, but its alchemist. If you feel that truth stir inside you, if you're ready to reclaim your power, drop a glowing star in the comments. Not for me, for you. For the version of you who's ready to rise.